Hello, church family, and today we're going to be in Acts chapter 2, verses 42 through 47. It's football season. I know many of you are so excited for that. I know I'm excited for that. And one of the best parts about football is that it's probably one of the greatest team sports ever, right? And as we read this passage today, that's something that I want us to be reminded about. The Christian faith, the Christian lifestyle, it's a team sport. It's about being together. It's about coming together and accomplishing things together. That's what the early church shows us. And hopefully you don't feel alone in the Christian faith. That's not good. And definitely we've got to fix that. We've got to help you in fixing that. And there's a way to do that at Willowbrook for sure. There's a way to get involved. There's a way to kind of remedy some of those that if you feel alone in the Christian faith. Because the Christian faith is all about fellowship. It's all about coming together. A fellowship among the believers, this is the way that they worshiped. This is the way they fought against the enemy. And this is how they grew. This is how they grew. And so let's look at what the early church, was about. And so in verse 42, we see this. It says, "And they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to the fellowship, and to the breaking of bread and the prayers. And it all came upon every soul. So many wonders and signs were being done through the apostles." Right there, we see that the early church, they worshiped together. They devoted themselves to what they were being taught by the apostles, from the law and from their experience and their time with Jesus. They were learning all these things about God's word and about Jesus from the apostles. And they were responding in that. They were worshiping together in that. And we see that because they were taking communion together. That's a form of worship. That's an expression of what Christ has done on the cross for us. They were breaking bread together. And then more importantly, they were praying together. We see in the early church that they were praying and praising what the Lord was doing amongst them. The prayer is not just something you do at the beginning, something that you do at the end. As believers, as we gather together, as we fellowship, prayer should be in the midst of all of those times. All the times that we're coming together with our Christian sisters and brothers. That is what we should be praying. And we should be remembering, as they did, they saw many wonders and signs, praising what the Lord is allowing the church and empowering the church to do. Praising Jesus for the many signs, wonders, and works that is happening amongst them. That's what we see. They were worshiping. So they're fellowshipping as believers and they're worshiping the Lord together. In verse 45, we see that they put some more, they don't just pray, but they put some action in their faith. We see this. In verse 45, it says, they were selling their possessions and belongings and distributing all the proceeds to all as any had need. Now, don't just read over that. Don't just be like, okay, so give to the needy. No. The reason why Luke puts this in Acts here, the reason why he writes this is because this is not something that was seen in culture. This is not something that is normal of the Romans or people in these areas. This is not normal for them to see people sell their possessions and give to the needy. But the Christians were. And this tells us that the Christians, they saw the need. They lived out their faith. They sold what they had and gave to the need. And what it tells us is that they lived against what the culture was telling them. And they went after the innocent and the weak. And they wanted to have that kind of impact. They, as a fellowship, as a unit, were going against the enemy. They were fighting against the enemy by doing these things. Don't just read over that. Reason why Luke puts this in here is because these Christians, these believers living in fellowship were living different. And people were noticing. They were living that faith. They were living something different. Verse 46, it tells us this, and day by day, attending temple together, they were breaking bread in their homes. And they received their food with glad and generous hearts, praising God and having favor with all the people. And the Lord added to their number day by day those that were being saved. The Lord grew them. The Lord grew them in the relationship with Him. The Lord grew them in the relationship with their fellow believers. And the Lord grew their numbers. The culture, the people, the world around them noticed that something was different for them. And the Lord blessed that and grew them. They were in each other's lives. There was fellowship taking place, and life was being changed around them. Here, let's wrap it up with this. Christians, how is your fellowship life with other believers? How is it? What does it look like? Hey, this past week, it's been pretty loud, right? It's been a heavy week. There's been a lot of things to remember. There's been a lot of things that's taken place. And one of the ways that we can stand against that is doing what we see that the early church did. They didn't forget about their sisters and brothers. They came together. This is how they took the fight to the enemy. This is how the Lord blessed them. They allowed fellowship to grow in times of hardship. They allowed fellowship to be what they were all about. And so don't ignore fellowship. Here at Willowbrook, if you need help finding a place to fit in, a life group or somewhere where we want to help you with that. You don't have to do this alone. You don't have to take that stand alone. There was someone named Jesus who did take that stand alone for you. And because of his sacrifice and what he's done for us, we now are able to have this kind of fellowship, this church, this ability to be with others. And so we shouldn't take that for granted. We shouldn't run from it. We shouldn't make our lives too busy where we're ignoring that. We should run towards fellowship. It's got to be something that is ingrained in every part of our life. We should worship together. We should fight against the enemy together, and we should grow together. Hey, thank you so much for what you're doing. Thank you so much for just all the effort that you're putting in. Hey, your church loves you. We're praying for you. If you need anything, you reach out to one of us. All right, we'll see you soon. All right, bye.